Part 52. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 511. And the next day. During lunch break, Oreki chose to have dinner with Houtarou. This is the only option. Rather, Oreki took good care of her after discovering that she still posted a public declaration of dating him after taking office as student council president on the bulletin board. After all, she is very possessive. In this way, as a qualified boyfriend, Oreki gave up eating with Kushida, who was under great psychological pressure, and instead stayed with her. As usual, Kamuro-san was arranged to go get lunch. Only. Kamuro-san, I don't think we asked you to invite others over, Oreki-san said. Xiao Banliu went to pick flowers, so now he is the only one sitting here. However, Kamuro, who was assigned to get food, did not bring back any food, but brought back two people. One male and one female. The man is thin and tall, but his clothes are neatly dressed and he seems to pay great attention to appearance. However, his hands in his trouser pockets appear to be quite strong. He is a calm little prince who fights. As for girls, their appearance is above average. She has short blonde hair, about the same length as Kushida's hair now, but she probably isn't very good at interacting with others. There isn't much expression on the face. He is somewhat similar to Horikita-san, who sometimes spends time alone. But it also gives people the feeling that Ayanokaji-san has a special feeling. These two people are included in the information that Oreki-san has read. It was all the time when he and Xiao Banliu dated in the student union. Oh no, it was the distinctive juniors and juniors that he noticed when checking the files. They are all students in Class C, first grade. The boy is Utsunomi Yoriku. The girl is Haru Sakurako. It's annoying to have them following me all the time, Kamuro-san said, and I can't get food if they follow me all the time. That's it? It turns out it's about doing the job at hand well. Oreki forgave her. Kamuro-san then continued to line up for food. You are Oreki-senpai, right? Utsunomi Ya, who was wearing a black tie, spoke proactively. I am Utsunomi Ya from Class C of the first grade, and she is my classmate Haru Sakurako. About the sudden notification from the head teacher, our first-year students need to partner with you second-year students for this exam. And I hope that all the students in our class and your class can join forces. That means we form a partnership, the junior student said. Oreki. Oreki-san didn't reply to him, but looked into his eyes. Are you sure you're here for this? Oreki asked. To be specific, I hope you can help us explain the rules of the exam. Utsunomi Ya's expression did not change. So, you want someone to explain the rules of the exam to you, Oreki continued. No, but Junior Utsunomi Ya shook his head this time. What I want to know is the truth about this school. The truth? Junior nodded. Yes, the truth. After being accepted by this school, not only are you required to stay in boarding school, you are even unable to contact the outside world at will. Then each student received private points worth 100,000 purchasing power. There are 160 students in one grade and 480 students in 3 grades. With this number, the school spends 48 million yuan every month, which is more than 500 million yuan a year. I don't think it's possible. Utsunomi Ya shook his head slightly. I thought it was impossible, so I came to ask the senior class to clarify my doubts regarding this point. Also, Utsunomi Ya senpai, you should take your hands out, Oreki senpai said. It's not the polite thing to do when you're asking for help and you're secretly recording someone at the same time. Well. The junior student seemed to be taken aback. Then he felt a little embarrassed and took out his mobile phone from his left-hand pocket. The screen of the mobile phone is on, showing the recording status of a recorder. Sorry, this is indeed my problem, Riku Utsunomi Ya said. Hosen-san from Class D came to our class last night and wanted to sell information for 200,000 points. Sell the substance about this school. Although our class bought it, we still can't believe what he said about class competition. That's why I hope to get the words of you or the student council president as evidence to convince the students in the class. After all, if what Baoquin said is right, then our being assigned to Class C is a very bad start. And I thought about it, the stupid bird has to fly first. Utsunomiya said so and took the initiative to delete the recording file. Haru Yingzi, who came with him, put her mobile phone on the table as if to prove her innocence. Her mobile phone showed that it was turned off and was not recording. That said, it's now time to frankly hope to gain support from the champion of the previous grade's struggle. I hope the seniors in class of the second year can support us. Utsunomiya lowered his head and said. For this, we can pay what we can. For example, 20 million points. So you joined forces with them, Kanzaki-san said. Hearing that Utsunomiya-san actually moved 20 million points, Kanzaki-san immediately paid attention. Because this Oreki-san does have a lot of points and likes to collect them. Of course I didn't accept it immediately, Oreki-san said quite honestly. It's better to say that I rejected them then. After all, my class is the top one, so there is no need to join forces with them. I hope we will extend an olive branch to Class A, the first grade. Isn't it because I only enrolled in Class C of the first grade, so I can't have that much money, so I'm writing a blank check? Kanzaki-san thought to himself, but continued to listen. But they were very persistent. On the third and fourth days, they were waiting during the lunch break. And they were waiting after school. Until the eighth, after discussing with Sakayanagi, I decided to join forces with them, Oreki said. So that's it, did you take a fancy to the other party's perseverance? Has it become the current result? Class C in the first grade moved up to become Class B at the same time, the gap with first grade Class A is only 50 points. It almost broke the school's record. But I just can't believe it. Kanzaki-san said. The current first grade Class C, no, they have been promoted to first grade Class B, and their class evaluation score is 750 points. If you deduct the reward of joining first place with your class and getting 50 points of class evaluation points, can you actually get 700 points in the Code of Conduct test? It's actually better than the students in the original Class B. Kanzaki-san is a student in Class B and has excellent self-discipline. Do you think students in Class C can perform better than those in Class B? Do you have any doubts? Don't you understand? Oreki-san said, in the end, the Code of Conduct test is just a test. The assessment lasts for 1 month. It is true that the different classes into which students are initially assigned represent differences in hardware and qualifications. But if you think of this as a month-long exam, you can still get points by acting. In other words, the junior students are just acting. Kanzaki was convinced. However, the academic gap between our class and your class is not that big, but this time you caught up with the students from grade 1 Class C. Why did you still get first place? In Ichino's exchange meeting, although most of the participants were students who were insecure and weak at heart. However, some of these students are scumbags and some are top academics. Therefore, in this joint written examination, Ichino's and the others, in addition to accepting low-achieving juniors, also received some juniors with academic scores of B or above. But Oreki-san and the others are only partnered with first-year Class C. Although there are 11 top students in Class C of the first grade with B academic ability, there are more than 20 academic scumbags. It's outrageous that you can get first place when there are so many lagging behind, isn't it? That's true, Oreki-san said. For this purpose, a man who ate alone volunteered. His name is Takahiraji. I think you may know that Yuanji used to give extra classes to students in his own class, Oreki said. Kanzaki Ryaji. Kanzaki-san knows this. During the holiday, he went back to the classroom to get things, and at that time he noticed that the students in Class D were making up lessons. There are not many people taking extra classes, only a dozen or so poor students. However, this time, according to OAA data, these students who once had poor academic ability can get a minimum score of C+. Could it be that? Has Junji given them tutoring? Kanzaki-san asked. Plateau Temple. This is a name that reminds Kanzaki of the experience of walking 23,000 steps around the island with Itchy Nose and the others during the original exam on the island. It's a name I don't want to recall. But you will find that this Juyuan temple is indeed a strange thing. It is a very top existence in OAA data. All ratings are A. That's right, Oreki-san said. As for this, the students in Class C of the first grade promised to make up for the insufficient points for him, and he had already applied to the board of directors yesterday afternoon before school was over. Now he is an official member of our class. Saying that, Oreki-san looked in one direction. There is a brand new desk there. Although the students haven't arrived yet, it means that Kojinjiro Kusuke has joined the second-year Class A Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 512. And this doesn't mean that Class A is even more powerful. So, Class B is even more hopeless. Of course, Kanzaki no longer thinks about attacking Class A. I just hope that I can maintain my position in Class B. Moreover, he discovered a blind spot. In this special examination, Class D of the first grade and Class D of the second grade joined forces, which is something that Class D of the second grade cannot possibly do. So, now Oreki-san can control his own class and can also drive Class D. In this case, if the Ryuan class also surrenders to Oreki, then wouldn't Class B have to face the combination of three classes? How to fight this kind of battle? I feel like I can't sleep just thinking about it. So in order to maintain Class B and prevent Ryuan and the others from climbing up, can he, the last conscience of Class B, make a decision here? What if Kanzaki-san suddenly said seriously after thinking of this, what if our class? And the other side? The tall Hebeokwan Kazuomi came to the first floor of the first grade teaching building. On the first floor, you can see that there seems to be a new announcement on the bulletin board. Probably because they saw some interesting data, the students surrounding the bulletin board looked in his direction, and then showed a mocking expression. They are students from other classes. What they probably learned was that with the arrival of the new January, the school announced the evaluation scores of the four classes. Then the class evaluation score of his first grade Class D is probably 0. In fact, Beokwan has no interest in this. He knew the result when he didn't receive the living expenses payment from the school at 7 o'clock. It should be said that he really deserves to be in Class D. After learning about the school's rules from Oreki-senpai, he did not impose any restrictions. Then it turned out like this. All the class evaluation points were deducted. But that doesn't matter. By selling the news, he still has more than 400,000 points in his hand. These points can be used as money. So he is not short of living expenses for the time being. There is only one thing he wants to do, drop out of Ayanokaji Kiyotaka and get 16 million in cash. He will no longer serve this stupid school. However, when he arrived in the classroom, Beokwan found that his class teacher, Sima Dion, had already arrived. The other party seemed to be waiting for someone. When he saw Beokwan arriving, he walked directly towards him. Beokwan. The other party said so. Please clean up, I received the message that you have been expelled from school. P.S. I still owe 32 more updates. Chapter 228 Long Yuan, don't you understand? Because I almost suffered from this trick. Was dropped out of school. Beokwan. Beokwan was already preparing to put his school bag on the table, but when he heard the words of the head teacher, Sima Dion, he suddenly looked towards him. His class teacher was a man without a smile on his face, with a casual pot-top hairstyle. He was slightly shorter than him and didn't look very impressive. On the first day of school, he himself said that he was the first served as a teacher for the first time. In other words, they are new teachers. Hey, you just took over as the class teacher. Don't you think everyone is being treated too casually? However, after learning the true nature of this school later, Baoquin was convinced. Class D is probably an abandoned garbage dump. Only. Why was he the one who dropped out of school? This special exam. Baoquin said, I didn't control points. According to the rules of the exam, after the partner exam, if the total score of the two people in the team is less than 500 points, the second grader will drop out of school. No matter how many class evaluation scores the first grader maintains, their personal points will not be transferred in the next 3 months. Therefore, it is impossible for a first-year student to be dropped out of school, and there is only one reason for dropping out. The students deliberately controlled their scores. Note, Rule 2, students who deliberately answer questions incorrectly and manipulate or lower their scores will be dropped from school regardless of grade. If you force a third party to get a low score, the student will also drop out of school. So according to this rule, he couldn't find the reason why he was expelled. Yesterday I received the students' scores in the email. Dion said, however, I haven't seen your test scores yet. Baoquin. What's wrong with you as a teacher? You are the class teacher. You don't even take a look at the grades of the students in your class. Rather, why don't you care about anything? But. Teacher Dion looked at him. I received a notice that you need to pack your personal belongings within 2 hours and you can take them away from the school. You need to submit your mobile phone to the student union and return the room card to the dormitory administrator. The punishment for your withdrawal from school was issued by the student union. The student union of this school has great authority. Sometimes it can even ignore the teachers. Naturally, it can also use its authority to command the staff. Dion said. In other words, the reason for him to drop out of school may not be this exam, but the student union? And when I think of the student council, I think of the student council president, and the student council president's boyfriend, Oreki Houtarou. Is that so? He was cheated. He was used as a tool and joined with Class D of the second grade. But now that the exam is over, he is just like a useless tool and is thrown away casually. I want to go to the student union, Baoquin said. As you wish, Dion said. The request I received is that you handle your personal affairs within 2 hours, and then I will send you out of school. And I will wait for you at the school gate. Saying this, the head teacher of Class D turned around and walked out of the corridor, then went down the stairs. Baoquin. This operation of the other party left Baoquin speechless. Because this new teacher not only failed to do his duty as a teacher, he didn't even care that he was going to be expelled from school. You must know that if this rubbish Class D is eliminated, then he will not be of any benefit as a class teacher. Some students who had already arrived in the classroom wanted to ask teacher Dion whether the school had made a mistake and how they had promised that at 7 o'clock, the school would receive a call for living expenses on their mobile phones. As a result, not a single point was received. But before the question was asked, the result was that Baoquin Kazuomi was about to be expelled from school. About that, Nanace-san also arrived. Nanace, you didn't betray me, right? Baoquin looked over. I don't know what hatred you have for that guy, but you definitely can't beat him. In other words, Baoquin slightly thought of one of the reasons why he would be dropped out of school. Did he go to attack Ayanokaji and was reported by Ayanokaji? Damn Ayanokaji, he even cooperated with your partner in taking the exam, but you're going to report it anyway? I don't know anything, Nanace Tsubasa said. Baoquin will just listen to it like this for now. So there was no further hesitation. You, come here and talk to me. If I drop out, you won't be able to accomplish your goal. With that said, Baoquin started to take action. He is going to the student union. The student union's office is located on the first floor next to the swimming pool. He was already in the classroom, and from here he had to go out the back door, then go through the corridor and then down the stairs, which seemed a bit troublesome. But the classroom of Class D, Grade 1, is only on the second floor. So, step aside. Baoquin walked towards the nearest student by the window. The student was stunned and was pushed away by Baoquin's big hand. However, Baoquin made a move that surprised everyone. He pushed open the window and jumped go down. Hey! Baoquin! Some boys leaned out of the window to see Baoquin. But Baoquin has landed firmly. Then he walked towards the student union office. Sure enough, as the boss of their class, Baoquin's physical strength and motor skills are as good as those of a monster. However, if Baoquin is expelled, some students began to feel shaken. Within 2 days of their enrollment, Baoquin used violence to intimidate them. Some students were even beaten. And that's the follow-up, because I have to partner with the seniors from second year Class D, and you have to know that besides Hosen and Nanace, there are 10 students with academic abilities above B in the class. If you partner with the seniors from second year Class D, you won't be able to get points for the top 30%. Therefore, several students wanted to oppose Baoquin, but they were still violently attacked by Baoquin. Had to compromise. So, wouldn't it be a good thing if a violent guy like Baoquin left this school? With this in mind, these students set their sights on Nanace, who had just been named by Hosen. Nanace caught the eyes of the classmates. Her physical fitness was not as good as that of Hosen, so naturally she couldn't jump off the building like Hosen did, but could only take the stairs. Only. Do we really want to give up Baoquin here? Nanace will not succumb to violence, but she cannot deny that Hosen's violence can sometimes be used as a weapon. One after the other. About 4 minutes later, Hoquan and Nanace arrived at the student union office. The student union of this school has great authority, and the president of the student union even has the authority to expel a student at a time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 513. Only. Hey, isn't this Baoquin? Hosen noticed the unpleasant aura and saw Ryuan show with red hair parted in the middle. Ryuan sat on the guardrail beside the entrance of the student union, and behind him was a burly man. This is someone Baoquin has never seen before. Isn't this Long Yuan, or are you reporting this? Baoquin said immediately. It sucks, Ryuan. You can't beat me, so you like to use this kind of black method, right? You have such a stubborn mouth. Facing Baoquin's ridicule, Long Yuan didn't care at all. It would be better to say that he was a little proud. I didn't fight with you in the past, and I wanted to play with you in school, but you couldn't stay at all. I'm so sorry, Baoquin, Long Yuan said. You fell down before I even made a move. Baoquin. In other words, didn't Long Yuan do something in it? But Long Yuan is also a nagging person, so he can't fully believe it. Then it was indeed Ayanokaji who reported it, or was it because of Oreki Houtarou? Was he tricked? Hosen murmured. Thinking this, he glanced to the right at the top of the corridor. There was no camera above. In other words, this small area is safe. Then. Moment. Baoquin grabbed Long Yuan with his left hand. Baoquin. And Nanace Tsubasa, who was following Hosen, had already discovered Hosen's actions. He actually wanted to use violence again. Shut up, Nanace. This has nothing to do with you. However, Baoquan's left hand went straight towards Long Yuan. Ryuan took no action. Rather, he discovered during the previous battle that Baoquan's force was superior to his, so there was no point in avoiding him. And there is no need to hide now. Two big hands stretched out from behind Long Yuan. Boss, the owner of big hands, stood in front of Baoquan. Baoquan's left hand was completely pressed against the opponent's body. But Baoquan pushed and found that he could not push Albert immediately. You Ryuan. But Baoquan started to curse loudly at this time. You're cheating on me. You obviously have such subordinates. They brought crooked melons, split dates, and even women before, just to let me attack you on purpose, Baoquan said immediately. He. Long Yuan laughed heartily at this time. It's only now that I realized, Baoquan, I really overestimated you. Tell you what, idiot. I was cheating on you before. You actually attacked me on camera, and Ibuki, the way you held Ibuki's neck was well captured. And when you were taking the exam as a joint partner with Grade 2 Class D, do you think you stopped using violence during the process? Rather, you have a humming pile of criminal records. So, the report went very smoothly, Long Yuan said. I only came here twice. Although there is no evidence, the report was successful, which means you are still fighting randomly. Is that so? Baoquan completely understood. He was tricked by Long Yuan and also by himself. When I went to Class D of the second grade, I was trying to identify the target person Ayanokaji. On the other hand, I was just pretending to be violent and frivolous. As a result, did it become a criminal record? He previously injured someone in junior high school and was expelled from school. And because he had a criminal record, he would not be accepted if he transferred to another school. However, before going to high school, I received a letter of recommendation from the principal of the junior high school where I hurt someone. Then I came to this strange high school. But now I actually made the same mistake. Is it another case issue? Stuck someone's neck on camera, and then there were fights in this month. In the end, it wasn't Ayanokaji who reported it, or Oreki Houtarou who took action. Was he expelled from school for hurting someone in a fight? Isn't this classmate Kazuomi Hokuan from Class D, first grade? At this time, the door to the students was pushed open. A tall student council member opened the door. It was the student council president sitting at the table inside who spoke. You are here to submit your cell phone. Then just put your phone on the table aside, the student council president said. In other words, it was acquiescence to the fact that Baoquan was a dropout. It's not a mistake, it's a fait accompli. Baoquan. I always feel like something is wrong with this student union. I was kicked out of school because I hit people continuously, right? Baoquan looked directly at the rather cute student council president and said. That's right, President Banliu said. The fight you had on the 4th was recorded. There were fights again on the 15th and 21 St. Over and over again, Kazuomi Hokuan, the student council has decided that you are no longer able to be a member of the highly cultivated community. So do you need me to speak more clearly? The seemingly polite student council president's words were not polite. Classmate Baoquan, although you have only been here for a short time, you are not worthy to stay any longer. Your presence is a hidden danger to the students of the school. Vice President Kiriyama on the other side also spoke. The vice president of another student union said, please give me your phone. But a friendly reminder, if a student is expelled, the points on the student ID card will be confiscated. Before this, you can exchange points for electronic equipment, such as computers, cameras, game consoles, etc. These are your personal belongings that you can take away. This is a burly bald man. But from what he said, it seemed that the bald vice president was a good person. We will also pay attention to the realization of points in this area. Baoquin still has about 300,000 personal points left on hand. If he can go shopping and buy a brand new computer, he can take it out and sell it at least 20% off. Then you can receive about 240,000 in cash. But it, I don't want to take it. Baoquin said. I don't want to accept it. Because Ayanokaji would have had 16 million in cash as long as he dropped out of school, but now he only needs 240,000. He does not want. Saying this, Baoquin lifted the table in front of him and made a loud noise. Hey! Baoquin! This made the members of the student union nervous. Kiriyama and Katsuragi quickly looked at him warily. Hashimoto-san, who had been on standby, and Kato's classmates, who were quietly doing calculations, also stood up and protected President Sakayanagi. President Sakayanaga's body is weak and it would be bad if he were pushed. Although Kamuro-san was already standing in front of Itayaru when Hosen lifted the table. But it is indeed unsettling. So Hashimoto and Kato also hurriedly did their guard work. Almost all the student council members are now watching Baoquin vigilantly to prevent him from suddenly exposing himself and hurting others. It seems that Hosen-san doesn't quite agree with the current situation, President Sakayanagi said. Although you are indeed very good at fighting, this is not a place where you can change the situation just by being able to fight or not wanting to accept it. I also agree that you can no longer stay in this school, Mr. Baoquin. Your presence is too dangerous for the current students. The kind-hearted Vice President Katsuragi in front also said the same. Generally speaking, Baoquin would be expelled from school because he hit people continuously and was recorded on the record. Is a habitual offender. Then it makes sense to be dropped out of school. Although there is a hint of Long Jiayuan's design, because Long Yuan has been coming to the student union every day since the 5th to report Baoquin for beating people. But Baoquin's current behavior does give people an uneasy feeling. And Nanase, the schoolgirl who came with Baoquin, seemed to have no idea how to deal with the current scene. Because no matter how you look at it, Baoquin can't make a comeback. This is the student union. At this time, a muscular man with blonde hair appeared in the corridor. Can you give me a moment? This golden lady, the other party's tone was very gentlemanly. Nane stepped aside and noticed that this was a tall boy and a legend in Class D of the 2nd grade. The reason why he is said to be a legend is because of his academic and athletic abilities, which are rated A in the OAA system. It's a monster level. And now this monster is not only a gentleman, but also very perceptive. I received an appointment from President Sakayanagi to report here, the other party said. Oh, that's very arrogant. I kind of understand why I was called here today. I haven't made up my mind yet though. But when I see disobedient children, I really want to educate them. And can I discipline you? The man said. Of course, please do so, President Sakayanagi nodded. Then the muscular man glanced over. His eyes stopped on Baoquin. Children who are disobedient will suffer hardship. Who the hell are you? Of course Baoquin hasn't finished reading the OAA system. His target is only Ayanokaji, so he doesn't pay too much attention to other people. I am Rokusuke Takaharaji, the muscular man said, the only son of the Takaharaji Chable. And you definitely don't know. After all, it's the most wasteful thing to only think about fighting even though you have a good physique, Yuanji said. I hate being preached to, and violence. What's wrong with violence? Saying this, Hokwon grabbed the collar of Gao Yuanji's clothes with both hands. Oh! Are you sure you want to take action against me? Gao Yuanji said, staring at Baoquin with a serious look. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 514. If you have the courage, then I will also deal with you with all my strength. After all, you have unleashed your murderous intent on me. After saying this, Gao Yuanji's eyes changed. And you are now mentally prepared to do this. And this look. brings a feeling of suffocation. Moment. The feeling of being hoisted up by Oreki senpai that Hosen had felt came back. Like Oreki senpai, and like Ayanokaji who was unwavering in his feelings despite being poked, this Kojinji was also a monster. Chapter 229 You're slacking off, Yu Cheng. In the classroom of Class A, 2nd grade. So, Baoquin dropped out of school obediently. Oreki-san clicked on his phone and received several messages. They are all members of the student union. But they are all female members. They received a message from Banliu last night, saying that today's reporting time had been postponed, and she would notify them of the details. Result. Minutes ago. They were informed by President Banliu that they could go to the student union to report to work normally. By the way, let me introduce that a new colleague came to the student union. When they arrived at the student union, they were told by Katsuragi-san that they had just discovered something dangerous. Bao Quan, a freshman in Class D, was expelled from school and almost caused a riot in the student union. It's scary. It's scary. Sakura-san, one of the pets of the student council, is relatively timid, so after learning that the student council was so dangerous 10 minutes ago, she immediately reported her and asked for a hug, oh no, for comfort. Sakayanagi himself is in danger. After all, that Hosen seems to have beaten Ibuki before. Although Sakayanagi has many puppies around him, she is the one who cannot be beaten the most by Karuzawa. Hokuan dropping out is not a bad thing for the average student in the school by Horikita. Kushida. Kushida-san also sent a rare message, but her message had no words, which was probably a sign that she was in a good mood. I'm so happy that I don't want to type anymore. After all, Baoquin wanted to attack her before, so she was very dissatisfied with Baoquin. And now that such a bad junior has dropped out of school, it is indeed a good thing. It's easy to guess Kushida's mood. In fact, from this point of view, the little Princess Banliu is quite powerful. She felt the danger, so she didn't arrange for others to come over. However, since she knew that being responsible for dropping out of Baoquin was a dangerous thing, she didn't want to be there herself. Her body was obviously going to fall down with a push. Oreki-san thought to himself. Baoquin is already in the process of dropping out of school. As a member of the student union, Rei Ibuki also came to the student union. But when she arrived, she found that Long Yuan and Albert had not left yet. That guy Hosen dropped out of school, Ibuki said directly to Ryuan. Ryuan comes to the student union every day to report, and Ibuki is a member of the student union and naturally knows about this. However, the president did not immediately make a statement. Unexpectedly, the matter of dropping out of school ended before she reported to the student union today. That guy is so greedy, he dropped out of school, but now on the way to the shopping street, he seems to be planning to use the remaining points to buy items, and then wait outside to sell them at a discount, Ryuan said. In fact, you can't say it's greedy. After all, if there are still points left, the school cannot buy them if you are expelled. So what you can do is cut your losses. Ibuki thought to himself. But Ibuki is not in a good mood towards Hosen. Because that guy made her feel inferior and see the gender gap. The mood became very bad. But she has to admit that in terms of physical strength, she cannot compare to Baoquin, nor to Ryuan or Albert. But that guy probably still has a secret he hasn't told, Ryuan said. Obviously his class D is so bad that his class evaluation score is 0. But he is still so stubborn and wants to stay. It shows that he can still make a profit by staying in school. Nanaste subasa. Listening to Ryuan's speculation, there was another schoolgirl who had not left the scene. At this moment, her presence is very low. When Baoquin was frightened by Jiyuan Temple and finally chose to retreat and leave, she did not continue to follow. Because she knew Baoquin could no longer be saved. At the same time, As an ally of Hokwon, she knew very well that Hokwon didn't want to leave because he still had the same goal in mind as hers and dropped out of school Ayanokaji Kiyotaka. It's just that she didn't choose points or rewards, while Baokwon wanted to exclusively enjoy the 20 million points or 16 million in cash provided by Principal Ueshin. But Ibuki frowned. Didn't you promise Shiina and Oreki Houtarou that you wanted to get points from the first-year students? And now Baokwon, the actual controller of Class D in the first grade, has dropped out of school. Then Class D, first grade, isn't it out of control? Ibuki said. Although she had no part in squeezing the first graders, she was only treated as an ordinary classmate, so in the end, she would probably only get a very small share of Ryuuen's plan. But no matter how small a mosquito is, it is still flesh. Ibuki wouldn't refuse. Ibuki, you actually think about this. This is the first time your pig brain can think, Ryuuen complimented. But Ibuki soon stared at him. But Ryuuen no longer cares about Ibuki. Instead, he looked at the blonde long-haired schoolgirl Nanae Tsubasa, who had a low presence but was constantly getting information in a muffled voice. He deliberately took 2 steps towards Nanae Tsubasa. We can have a good talk next. Nanae. About the matter of cooperation in the distribution of points obtained from the school. You can continue as Baokwon's replacement. And you can't refuse, Ryuuen said. Not to mention that you have already heard a lot of news. At the same time. He paused. And you know Baokwon's secret, right? Nanae. So was she left here on purpose? What is going on in this school? Why is everyone's brain moving so fast? Only. Why did you choose me? If Hokwon is expelled, then I will have no sense of presence in the class. Nanae Tsubasa said. As if to refuse. It's really rubbish acting. Stop pretending. Your acting is worse than Kushida Dan, Ryuuen said. Kushida. Passing by the student council member in the corridor, Kushida Kikyo noticed that her name was mentioned. Oh. Dragon Garden. This prick. She regrets a little bit that she cooperated with Ryuuen in the preferential test and sports festival in order to drop out of Horikita. Therefore, Ryuuen also knew that he was not a pure little angel, but was targeting Horikita. He is a twisted person. But this guy Ryuuen, didn't he himself kowtow to Oreki more than a dozen times and lose all his face? He still had the nerve to mention her name. Kushida. Really? I'd better look for Oreki tonight to confirm if there is really something wrong with his acting skills. It's not right. She didn't use her acting skills to deal with others, but forced herself to face them with her sincerity. Therefore, Ryuuen is also very annoying. So, Kushida left with the information in his arms. And Long Yuan continued. Baokwon and I are the same kind of people, and I have tamed my class, and Baokwon is naturally the same. He will keep fighting just to tame his class and find no thorns. So, although he has dropped out of school now, first year Class D has been tamed, hasn't it? And what do you have left with a class evaluation score of 0? So, it's not that you have to cooperate with me on behalf of Class D, first grade, but you have to do this. You, Class D, first grade, had no future when you first surrendered to Baokwon, Long Yuan said. And Hokwon-san, who has no future, has already come out of the shopping street. In his hand was a package containing 2 brand new laptops. The packaging is all there too. He went back to the dormitory and submitted his room card. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 515. As for the personal items he bought this month, he has no interest in them. Taking slightly heavy steps, he began to walk towards the school gate. When I first came in last month, the entrance to the campus was full of cherry blossoms. But now on May 1st, the cherry blossoms have not completely fallen. The cherry blossoms are full of color, and it feels like a beautiful scenery. But this scenery no longer belongs to him. He is no longer a student at Yosei High School. But now he doesn't have much resentment. Rather say, quite an interesting experience, he muttered. He was a fearless person outside, but when he came to this school, he encountered 3 monsters in a row and was taught a lesson almost 3 times in a row. There is heaven outside the sky, and there are people outside the world. But he believes that such experience will one day become his nourishment. Yes. He, Baoquan Hessian, will not stop here. And soon, he noticed a man with pot-top hair who could not smile standing at the gate of the school. The other party is still so unpleasant. I probably had a bad sleep at the same time. Come out quickly, said Sima Dion, the head teacher of Class D in the 1st grade. I don't have much time to spend with you. Then it's confirmed, you don't belong to this school now, and what happens in this school is not allowed to be told to the outside world. At the same time, regarding Ayanokaji's issue, you don't need to interfere anymore. It has to be kept secret, the teacher said. Baoquan frowned. Because Ayanokaji's problem was an agreement between him and Principal Tsukijo, why did the head teacher also know about it? Didn't you hear that? But Baoquan found that the head teacher in his class didn't seem to have much patience. One hand, the left hand, has been stretched out. Then he pushed Baoquan. Click. Baoquan found that he couldn't resist at all. Not only that, he was pushed down. Baoquan was stunned for a moment, watching his body being pushed out all at once. I feel incredible. Because he initially pushed Albert, who was next to Ryuan, who was even stronger than him, but when he couldn't push him anymore, he immediately realized that the gangster leader Long Yuanxiang was deliberately showing weakness in front of him. Result: are you, an ordinary new teacher and new head teacher, actually terrifyingly powerful? Do you have any other comments? I don't have time to play with you anymore. Sima Dion looked at Baoquan and said. The loser retires, you loser. Teacher Sima Dion's eyes made contact with Baoquan's. There is no expression, no, there is a little emotion, and that emotion is very cold. It's really like looking at garbage, looking at something worthless. Moment. The coercion of being stared at that I experienced with Houtarou Oreki, Kiyotaka Ayanokaji, and Rokusuk Kojinji appeared again. Baoquan. Day. In other words, his class teacher is actually a real person without showing his face. Is he a powerful monster of the same level? Damn this school full of monsters, he can't stay anymore. The last remaining fire of struggle in Baoquan was extinguished. There are just too many monsters. And the other side? Principal's office. Principal Mr. Yu Cheng looked at the silver-white mobile phone that the student union had collected and then specially handed over. The phone's screen is on. The above is the information of the open student ID card. Name, Kazuomi Hoizumi. Student ID, 148610550. Class, Class D, 1st grade. Private account, 0 points. Putting down his phone, Yu Cheng looked ahead at the student he had specially called. It's very good. As soon as Baoquan dropped out of school, the student union returned his mobile phone. A good demonstration, Yu Cheng said. The student he called had no explanation. Yu Cheng felt that the punch hit an empty place, so he shook his head. You go back. And the mission I accepted has not been abandoned. But at this time, the student he called finally spoke. What do you think true equality and strength are? What is it? How could Yu Cheng know such a thing? He is only here on orders, and he will be punished if he fails to complete the task. My defeat is that man's defeat, so if you want to destroy me, then you really can't do it. But sorry, I never thought I would lose. With that said, Ayanokaji Kiyotaka chose to say goodbye and leave. Tsukijo stared at Ayanokaji's back in silence. Is it? You think so too? Indeed. Ayanokaji is the ceiling of the White Room, which is also called the highest masterpiece and the only qualified product. So, if Ayanokaji fails, it also means that the adult has failed. So if Ayanokaji really failed, then he would definitely be punished by that adult, and the consequences of the punishment would definitely be tragic. So all he can do is lose in a state that is not embarrassing. Therefore, the other party has already figured out his inner activities. Ayanokaji's face is obviously expressionless and emotionless, but isn't he quite good at guessing other people's thoughts? Ayanokaji's heart became clear. But some people's hearts are not clear. Principal Yu Chang. And a staff member sent him a message. Mark Dion, the class teacher of Class D in the first grade, wanted to report to him based on the fact that there were dropouts in his class this time. If it's official business, you do need to report it? Because Baoquan dropped out of school, he was also the only student who dropped out of school the fastest in the history of the school. Because in the past, freshmen were familiar with the environment in the first month after enrolling to understand what kind of school this was, and then took the old questions in the second month. But because of his arrival in Ueshan, everything changed. As for Baoquan's withdrawal from school, he actually needed to submit a paper document. But Yu Cheng knew very well that the head teacher of Class D of the first grade came to him definitely not because of Baoquan's matter. Because you're slacking off, Yu Chang, the head teacher of Class D, first grade, said when she saw him. Why use the brats outside instead of just letting Bai Fangsheng take action? And there is only one reason for saying this. They are not simply a relationship between the principal and the head teacher. But it was the relationship between Ayanokaji and Ayanokaji who dropped out of school after obeying that man's order. It's his colleague. Chapter 230. I came out with lawyer Horikita, Sakayanagi, that's it, then a hug. The bulletin board on the first floor of the second grade teaching building. With the end of the special examination last month, the class evaluation scores here for the second grade have also been updated. Grade 2 classes scored 2,918.5 points. Grade 2 Class B 1,701.5 points. Class C, Grade 2, scored 588 points. Class D, Grade 2, scored 492 points. Unlike first-year students, the class rankings of second-year students are very stable. This time the exam does not directly flip the class competition like the first-year students. And even the scores are very stable. Except that Class C and Class D have relatively close scores, Class A and Class B have a natural safety distance. Class B is still far behind us, and the person who would say this would naturally like the steady Katsuragi-san. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 516. It is time for school to end in the afternoon. Oreki-san and Katsuragi-san are standing at the bulletin board. Katsuragi-san is a member of the student council, so he knows the test results earlier than other people. But now I just feel the mood for a moment, and then I sigh with emotion. However, Oreki had no intention of striking up a conversation with Katsuragi. His eyes were on the stairs. After a while, with the sound of the cane hitting the ground, a cute girl wearing white garters walked out. She is in poor health and can only use a cane. But she is quite cute, with delicate facial features and silver straight hair. Sure enough, despite seeing her up close many times, Oreki-san admits that his girlfriend is indeed quite cute. And the slightly weak temperament makes people full of protective desire. But Sakayanagi was not alone, there was a tall girl following behind her. Have you been waiting for a long time? Banliu asked. Just arrived, Oreki said. In fact, the two were classmates, and it was not long after school, so Banliu knew how long he had been waiting here. But since she wants this lover's atmosphere, Oreki-san will cooperate with her. In this way, Oreki handed a book he was holding to the tall girl behind Sakayanagi. This meant asking her to return the book and not follow her. The Divine Room. Kamuro-san's face was expressionless, and it could even be seen that she was feeling a little unhappy. Kamuro-san, you should be happy, Yuzu Sakayanagi said. If Oreki-san is an ordinary classmate, then you are not just an ordinary classmate now. Kamuro immediately realized that she was holding her school bag. And she is their dog. But Oreki-san never carries a school bag and keeps most of his books in the classroom. In the past, Itayanagi brought books back to his dormitory, but after learning an efficient study plan from Oreki, he also started not bringing books back to his dormitory. That's why she can be so relaxed now. Otherwise, one person would have to prepare meals for 3 people during the lunch break. From this perspective, Oreki Houtarou has indeed reduced her workload. Snored. So Kamuro Maesumi, who found returning books annoying, started walking towards the library. As for Sakayanagi-san, after meeting Oreki-san, he and Oreki-san walked toward the Kiyaki shopping center in the shopping district. And if this is the case, then only Katsuragi-san will be left here. In fact, Katsuragi-san is also paying attention to the development of this couple. He is not a pedantic person, but both of them are key figures in the class, and when young people interact, it is easy for them to accidentally misfire. Once a life is involved, then, even if Sakayanagi is the student council president, it's hard to escape the blame. And once Sakayanagi drops out of school, and Oreki Houtarou may also be implicated. So wouldn't class lose 2 generals at once? This kind of thing, I feel terrible just thinking about it. Although Ichinos and the others look like sheep, they are not aggressive at all. It was just Ryuan that worried him. This guy Ryuan will not fight you normally. Judging from the information received, in addition to coming to the student union every day to report Byoken during the last exam, Ryuan also harassed some first-year students. So, Katsuragi was thinking whether he should do something. As a member of the student union, he also recorded various operations and applications made by past students using points. One of them was the buyout that former student council president Horikita Manabu spent 1 million points on before leaving the school. He directly bought out the school's authority to purchase family planning supplies. And this is bound to affect some couples. After all, if you are in a relationship, you may want to stick together every day, but you may also cross the line. And it would be terrible if there were no family planning supplies at this time, wouldn't it? It's just that the legitimate way is blocked. However, the employees of the shopping mall will still have some time off to go out and even carry some personal belongings. The staff and faculty of the shopping mall are also adults and have their own private lives. So, do we need to get in touch and get some family planning supplies for protection? Katsuragi-san is also thinking about what he can do from the perspective of the class. Oreki-san didn't know that his reliable classmate in the class was thinking about something completely off course. He had already headed to Kiyaki shopping center with Itayanagi. The first to arrive is the cinema. The choice was a literary film, 5 centimeters per second. The next arrangement is to have dinner together in a private room of the family restaurant. Finally, go to the aquarium to see the fish. These steps look familiar, because this is the sound dating plan proposed by Kushida-san. It has been used on Sato-san and Kushida-san himself before. Now it finally falls on the rightful owner. And this date was actually used as a cover for going out with Kushida before. After all, giving a gift is giving a gift, but it is also true to go out with Kushida. And now the two of them are in the cinema. Because he has already watched the movie once, Oreki-san not only knows the process but also the result. It's just that such spoilers would be annoying, so he held hands with Itanu-san obediently. It's just that he dated Sato-san, and he also dated Kushida-san, and although he came with Sato-san, it was rounded off as a date, and now he is also dating Sakayanagi-san. It seems that he is the only one who has no experience playing with Horikita-san. In this case, I feel a little bit uneasy about my conscience. Think so? Looking at the movie screen in front of him, feeling the reassuring body temperature transmitted from his fingers intertwined with Sakayanagi-san, Oreki-san's spirit became trance-like. It's like entering a dream. Then, I'll go in, and you, like those house husbands, wait outside. A voice came to my ears. And Oreki-san noticed that he was in a large shopping mall, and Horikita Suzune, no, it was Horikita lawyer with a married woman's hairstyle. As an adult, Horikita-san won't be so unkind. And Oreki also knew what she meant by waiting outside. Some shopping malls will specially prepare some lounges or benches for men who come with their female companions. From here, you can see that there are several boys sitting on the bench on one side who are accompanying their wives or girlfriends. Girls are naturally interested in shopping and don't know the time, so they are easily addicted. But for boys who don't have that much interest in shopping, this is very torture. So attorney Horikita took this into consideration. Seems quite considerate. Only. It's just shopping, I think I can do that too. Oreki-san didn't want to be unreasonable. After all, I was just thinking about dating Itayanagi Kazu and even Kokushida, but not Horikita Suzune. So I felt a little guilty inside. Are you sure you want to come in? Lawyer Horikita asked. Today we mainly buy underwear. I don't mind if you come in. I want to show it to you in the end anyway, but there are other female customers in the store. Well, this is no longer needed. By the way, Horikita-san shouldn't say things like this outside. So Oreki-san had no choice but to watch her enter the clothing store, and prepare to wait for his female companion like the other men. But he had just found an empty spot, and when he took out his phone, he found that there seemed to be some familiar voices in front of him. Come after me, my sister can't catch me dash. Wait a minute, Alice, ha. Two cute girls ran past Oreki-san. The girl running in front has straight black hair. The girl who was lagging behind had silver white straight hair. Wearing a cute little dress. Very cute. She didn't have a cane, but she seemed very tired. Oreki-san then walked over. Arisu. Yuzusaka Yanagi was resting with his hands on his knees, but he immediately noticed the person coming over. Because of your cute appearance, you may indeed attract the attention of others. Only. Houtarou, why are you here? Let me think about it. Did you accompany Horikita Suzune out? Sakayanagi said. But she quickly took action. He stretched out his hand directly towards Oreki-san. Then I want to hug you. Although her hands are white and small, they are very cute. But this is not the time to hug. I came here with Horikita, and she is entering the store now, Oreki-san said quickly. He reassured her, which meant that the occasion was not right, so he rejected her. At least. In the precognitive dream that Oreki-san had seen in the past, lawyer Horikita did not know that he was a cuckold. The Civil Code amendment had only been implemented not long ago, so she probably wasn't ready for it yet. That's really a pity. Classmate Sakayanagi didn't seem to be bothered. She is really smart. But the next second. Then I want to kiss, carrot carrot. Ah, this. So what were you doing just now? Oreki-san had to change the topic. And she's wearing a little dress. After all, future Sakayanagi-san is someone who can call him daddy without hesitation. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 517. So I am definitely not as good as her in terms of shame and shame. I was just playing sister-sister game with Alice. I bought the little dress from the store next door. How do you like it? Does it look good? It matches you very well, Oreki-san said honestly. Even though Sakayanagi Yuzo has grown up, he is still the same as when he first met her. I have always maintained this shape. I will free up time recently. Arisu also explained the reason why he is here. After all, it is important to spend time with your children. In other words, Arisu has also thought deeply about how to raise children. The most important of these is the company of parents. And this is his shortcoming. However, he happened to meet Banliu from the future. So, speaking of which, Yuzu, your health is completely fine, Oreki-san asked. After all, this is with the help of my reliable Houtarou, Arisu responded, that is, I only hold the cane in front of some acquaintances. Especially Horikita-san. But I'm very grateful in my heart, because it was Houtarou who learned the massage techniques that made my body feel better. Now I no longer need a cane. It's like a miracle, Itayanagi Arisu said. Oh. Is that so? In Banliu's eyes, it was through massage. Then it must be fake. Because the same words were used by Oreki-san when Horikita-san was injured during the sports festival and then used his recovery ability to recover. But in other words, I really helped Banliu-san. Suddenly I felt in a good mood. Your mood has improved, but Yuzu Sakayanagi was not happy. Obviously I asked you out yesterday, but you rejected me. It turned out to be because of Horikita Suzune. Suddenly I regretted it. I shouldn't have been so anxious at the beginning. Rather, I didn't expect Horikita-san to be the final winner, Yuzu Sakayanagi said. But you've overcome a lot, haven't you? Oreki-san gently squeezed her little hand. He had already seen that Alice did not run away, but sat obediently not far away, but did not disturb their interaction. She was such a good child. That makes sense, Arisu nodded. Then give me a hug, Sakayanagi continued. For it. If you don't hug me, then I'm going to meet my old classmates. Horikita-san is very wary of me. Speaking of which, she thought Alice's hair was blonde, Sakayanagi Arisu said. Then give me a hug. Then Oreki-san immediately hugged Sakayanagi into his arms. But... Sakayanagi Yuzu suddenly asked for help at this time. Uncle policeman, help me, this man suddenly hugged me. Oreki noticed the usual police officers patrolling the mall. Hey! What are you doing? Why don't you put your hands down? The police immediately paid attention to this. Then let's play slowly, Houtarou, carrot. Carrot, slash. Yuzu Sakayanagi said softly. Then he quickly slipped away. And the police were already running over. I am innocent, Oreki-san said. Quiet, obviously the victim just asked for help, The police found that the super cute girl who just asked for help was missing. Then I can go, Oreki-san said. He had already discovered that Sakayanagi was already staying with Alice, and the two of them peeked here together. Wait a minute, you look like a habitual criminal. If the little girl asks you to hug her, just hug her, but the policeman is quite upright. For it. There is really no way to deny this. Chapter 231. It's very dangerous, Sakayanagi. What terrible things are you thinking about? In a shopping mall, a corner. Honest police officers report to their superiors. Found a guy who attacked a little girl in public. What? Isn't this an idiotic act? The boss seemed a little surprised. However, we cannot completely deny the interest of such people. One of my classmates in high school had a girlfriend with the body shape of a little girl. So you confirm it's true. Don't have any judgment of your own. The chief began to teach his subordinates a lesson. The subordinate was a newcomer who had just been in the job for a year, but she was already a junior in the police department and could be considered a mature police officer. But for some reason, he seems to care a lot about using his brain, or having a brain at all. It seems that he has experienced some dark history in the past. Well, I haven't confirmed this, the subordinate said quickly. But I can confirm that a little girl must have asked for help. I asked him to come over, and he was quite cooperative. With that said, the young subordinate led the way and led the commander out, and then saw Oreki Houtarou sitting obediently on the bench for rest. Oreki-san played with his phone and waited. Because Kosake Inaga was very ruthless, after finding out that he was taken away by the police, he took Alice away with him. It was completely ignored that she was the initiator. But her conscience was not completely lost. A message was sent. Father sent a message and I had to take Alice back. As for the police, don't worry, bye, I love you little Yuki. Oreki-san. Arisu said it was okay. But they were caught by the police, so can everything be okay? When he heard the sound of footsteps, Oreki-san raised his head and stared at the female police officer who arrived with the upright police officer just now. The other person was wearing a police officer's uniform, but he looked very familiar with his short, sassy blue hair and slightly stunned face. Ibuki-san. Oreki-san read out the other person's name. Oreki Houtarou and Ibuki also recognized him. Oreki-san now understood why Arisu said it was okay. I'm afraid Kosake Inaga didn't see Ibuki from the beginning, so he played this crazy game with him. So you attacked a little girl? Officer Ibuki seemed quite embarrassed. That's Sakayanagi, Oreki said. I was playing a game with her. Then she played a trick on me. So that's what happened. President Sakayanagi is still so difficult to resist, Rei, Ibuki said. I met her last week and she also teased me. Oreki-san has confirmed that Horikita-san will become a lawyer in the future, and Ibuki has said in the past that he wants to go to university, so he needs to improve his academic ability. And what she wanted to apply for was the astronomy department. But now, he has become a policeman. There may be some twist in it. But it seems like she and Sakayanagi have a good relationship. He's fine, Ibuki said directly to the upright police officer at this time. This guy is my high school classmate, and the little girl you see is his wife. Eh? Are they actually a couple? The girl is obviously so young, the police officer was shocked. Arisu just looks young. Oreki-san knew that he must have been stared at with colored eyes. But she is an adult. So it would be great if everyone in the world were like Horikita-san and didn't look at people with a coloring eye. Because if you like it, you just like it. You are not a Lolita fan, it's just that the person you like is not very tall. I somewhat understand Kushida-chan's mood. Didi Ibuki and the police officer's walkie-talkie rang at this time. Ibuki quickly opened the contact. However, the report on the intercom can be heard with words such as hurting someone, running away, and catching someone. But Ibuki had no intention of pursuing him. What happened? Oreki-san said. After all, he and Ibuki are students in the same school, so if the matter is not too troublesome, Oreki-san can still help. It's not a big deal, Ibuki said. An innocent passerby was attacked. Although the suspect was caught, he was forgiven by the other party. Then you, the police, don't care about it at all, Oreki-san said. Ibuki still seems quite reliable. The passerby who was attacked was Long Yuan. The person who attacked him was Kazuomi Hoizumi, Ibuki explained. Hokwon Kazuomi was the freshman during our sophomore year of high school. He only studied for a month and then dropped out. Are they Baoquan and Long Yuan? Indeed. Long Yuan and Baoquan met in Yuchin High School. They came from the same place and were the same kind of people in the past. Although Long Yuan agreed to cooperate with Baoquan, he did not trust Baoquan, so after confirming that Baoquan had a record of assault, he went to the student union to report it every day. In the end, Baoquan was expelled by the student union. This is a good plan. When Ryuan went to report Hokwon to the student union one after another, Houtarou discussed this with him in private time. First of all, Baoquan is very similar to Long Yuan. And Ryuan can control Class C. Baoquan's combat power is stronger than Ryuan, so he can naturally control Class D violently. After confirming this, Long Yuan was even more determined to drop out of Baoquan. After all, Baoquan is his enemy, and it would be best without Baoquan. At the same time, Baoquan uses violence to control the class. As long as he is controlled once, it is very easy to be controlled again. So first grade Class D is actually a tool class tamed by Baoquan. Then shouldn't it be more appropriate to drop out of Class D, the first grade? Drop out of Baoquan and take over the class taught by Baoquan. Kill two birds with one stone. So Long Yuan is still the same Long Yuan. As for Baoquan, he was dropped out of school by Long Yuan. He must be in a bad mood. At the same time, Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 518. He also has the task of dropping out Ayanokaji and getting 16 million in cash. And now they would directly attack Long Yuan in front of such a large public, so the current situation is probably very bad. That's why when he discovered Long Yuan, his original enemy, he took action directly. From this point of view, the two are really enemies. Don't you care? Ibuki asked curiously. On the one hand, Ryuan forgave Baoquan, so it was okay for her not to come forward. However, Ibuki also remembered that Ryuan had been Oreki's dog since the second grade at Ibuki High School. Because it was only Ryuan who was attacked, Oreki-san said. In other words, Ryuan can attack at will, right? Ibuki thought to himself. Then Shiina, no, Hiyori sighed. Ibuki-san seemed to be hesitant to speak. You really don't know anything. Shiina-kun, Oreki tilted his head. His relationship with Shiina only lasted until 1 year after graduation, and he needed her to help squeeze the first-year students to complete the system's tasks. And what he paid was some small money. So what else does it need to be related to? Oh, Oreki said when mentioning this, did Shiina get the position of administrator of the National Library? Librarian? What is that? Ibuki was confused. Why don't you call her Shiina? You know she is. Ibuki looked surprised and then angry. No. So, what happened to Shiina-san you mentioned? How could Oreki-san know? He just dreamed of it? As I thought about this, I felt an uneasy feeling of slight force coming from my left hand. Oreki-san opened his eyes. I found myself still in the cinema. And the feeling of force coming from my left hand just now is also true. Sakayanagi-san held his hand and pressed a little harder. The two of them kept interlocking their fingers. Her side face can be seen from here. Her eyes fall on the huge movie screen. The screen shows a cherry blossom falling. The male and female protagonists are on both sides of the train road, but at this time the train is passing, and at the end of the train passing, the man he seemed to be looking at the opposite side in a daze, because the heroine was no longer there. Oreki-san realized that when he and Kushida were dating together, they were watching The Wandering Earth. But today's movies are scheduled at 5 centimeters per second. Because it is said that the couple's relationship will become better after watching it, so we chose this movie together. But for this movie, Oreki-san has only read the manga. The content is probably the first love story of the male protagonist Takeka Tono and the heroine Ikari Shinohara. However, due to the distance, they lived in different places. However, the two of them also worked hard. Takeka saved his pocket money and took a car to go there. The city where Mingli is located. Ikari also made a bento and waited for him. However, due to the subsequent loss of contact information, the letters sent could not arrive. Each other has their own life, and the current scene is the scene where the male protagonist accidentally meets Ikari after becoming an adult. But he thought of Mingli, and Mingli had moved on without nostalgia. Then the male protagonist felt relieved and moved forward to start his own life. It's a little regretful after watching some movies. Sakayanagi-san really had an idea. The staff really recommends it. If you watch this movie as a couple, you will experience the feeling of melting emotions. It's like couples going through reverse therapy, and their relationship gets better. The two of them are now in the restaurant. And Oreki-san also listened to Itayanagi-san's words. His mind is not here. He was sleeping while watching the movie, and he already understood the specific plot when reading the comics. At the same time, I also understand the sentiment of this work. Second 5 tells us that if you like someone, you don't have to be together. No matter how far two people fall in love, distance is also a problem. The one who ends up together is the most suitable but not the most loved. But this is what I felt when watching the movie. It's not that I want to experience this. And Sakayanagi-san is obviously like this too. Seeing her excited expression, Oreki-san said, Takeki and Akari finally went on to live their own lives. They both seemed relieved, but as a couple, seeing the scene would still make you a little regretful. So what do you think would happen if we were the experience of Takeki and Akari? Oreki asked. This is not a good analogy. Little Princess Banliu gently placed her hand on the back of his hand, but the question you raised made me think about it. Indeed. The separation between Gishu and Akari was not because they disliked each other, but because the means of communication no longer existed. They communicated through letters, and one of them moved without telling the other in time, so they could not continue to contact each other. Then when they grow up, they also acquiesce to starting a new life on their own and accepting other people into their hearts. But I definitely won't do this, Sakayanagi said. I am very dedicated. Even if I no longer have Houtarou's contact information, I will never let anyone else enter my heart. Okay. It will be like this after dating. Banliu-san will often say some love words. And this is something Oreki-san feels he can learn from. He has no experience in love and is not very good at getting along with girls. If it's just a physical relationship, you can use Kushida, but emotionally you may have to get experience from Koitanagi. So she went on talking and he went on listening. Let's see what other shocking insights she can come up with. And I have 2 solutions, Sakayanagi continued. It should be said that he is worthy of being the representative of Class A. A question has 2 answers. First, Banliu said, there was no problem with the relationship between the two at the beginning, but the deviation was that they could not continue to communicate. And I think it is enough to use persistence as a weapon. As long as you recognize this relationship, then take action. After all, everyone's information is on record. As long as you put in the effort to look it up, it can be done. In other words, go to the police station records and check them one by one. Is a way. And it is indeed persistent enough. And the second kind, Sakayanagi seemed to smile. And this smile was quite familiar to Oreki-san, because wasn't it the same smile she had in the precognitive dream when she tricked him into hugging her and then calling the police uncle? Could it be that? If the children's combat power is low, then of course there is nothing we can do. So you can ask for help from adults, Sakayanagi said, for example, elders and parents. Adults have different methods from us. But it's just for puppy love. Well, my parents won't agree if I ask for help for love, Oreki-san said. It's not that he wants to throw cold water on her, but that this idea is difficult to implement in practice. Although his sister would probably be very interested, his parents would definitely refuse. Then they have to choose not to agree, Sakayanagi said. For example, what if there is a fait accompli that we have to find the other party? For example, if I get pregnant and the baby's father runs away, then the father will definitely fight to the death to find the baby's father. And this is borrowing your power, sir, Sakayanagi said. Oh. That's it? Ah. So you know what you're talking about? Very dangerous. It would be terrifying if your father caught you. Sakayanagi. So, probably thinking that Itaiji was dangerous, Oreki-san took her to the aquarium to see the fish after eating. Then he spent a lot of money to invite Kamuro-san to be a light bulb. Finally, the two of them sent her back to the dormitory. P.S. I still owe 28 more updates. I always feel that I have been better off for a few days. Is it an illusion? Chapter 232 Divide the money. Early morning. Friday, today is also the day to go to school. Oreki-san is a little sleep deprived. Last night I tried to have a precognitive dream again. He was a little interested in the information about Shiina-san who Ibuki was hesitant to talk about. Because according to the information she provided, Shiina-san's position as a librarian at the National Library was probably lost. And something even more troublesome happened. But it's a pity that I didn't meet Officer Ibuki again in my dream. But since it's class, that's it. Gotta come to class. Good morning, Oreki-san XN. Oreki is very popular in the class, and everyone in the class greets him. Morning Oreki-san is also very kind. He didn't hate the atmosphere in the class. Good. Good morning, little Princess Banliu. Oh no, I should call you President Sakayanagi. The front door of the classroom was also quite lively. It was Sakayanagi Yuzu who arrived with her in Yagamiro-san. Kamuro-san closed his umbrella as usual, put it in the umbrella bucket at the door, and did the same job as a follower as usual. But everyone was used to it, so they didn't say anything. Isn't this Katsuragi-san? Good morning. Yuzu. Sakayanagi paid attention to the tool man in the student union. Oh no, a reliable subordinate and classmate. Kamuro-san, have you thought about the menu for lunch break? You have prepared the same meal for me for 3 consecutive days, and I want to try new flavors. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 519. After Sakayanagi came to his seat, he spoke to Kamuro-san behind him. Then, as if he discovered it by chance, he set his sights on Oreki-san. Isn't this Oreki-san? It's really early today, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. She was smiling and quite cute. And she also deliberately wore the beret that Oreki-san gave her before, which made her cuteness add 10. However, everyone can see that Sakayanagi-san does not seem to be in a good mood. It seemed like there was a cold war with Oreki. Because if there was no problem with the relationship, then Sakayanagi Yuzu might have greeted Oreki directly after coming in instead of talking to Kamuro-san first. The classmates in the class had a tacit understanding and immediately pretended that nothing happened. I don't want to be the fish in the fish pond. Good morning, Oreki-san responded. The morning class is math class, so I feel a little reassured, Oreki-san said. However, this month's special exam has not been announced yet. It may have something to do with the rain these days. I guess it's another special exam that requires everyone to go out. And this is very businesslike. That's right, I think so too, said Sakayanagi. Then the two stopped talking. They each took out their own textbooks and started flipping through the books indifferently. For a while, there was only the sound of turning pages of books. The classmates then focused their attention on Maesumi Kamuro, who was at the table behind Sakayanagi. As a keen type, Kamuro-kun certainly caught everyone's attention. Only, how does she know? In fact, Kamuro-san was also confused. Because Oreki and Sakayanagi seemed to have started a cold war all of a sudden. The reason for this judgment is that when Itaiji and Oreki talk, they sometimes use some ambiguous words. For example, you feel the same way, and so do I. We really have a good understanding. Some type of. But not now. The time when this phenomenon occurs can actually be judged. It was probably the day that Itayanagi and Oreki-san were dating, and she was invited by Oreki to pick up Sakayanagi for 1,000,000 points. She thought she was picking up Banlieu, but when she arrived, she realized that she had become a light bulb. Although I don't know why Oreki spent a lot of money to invite her to do this kind of light bulb thing, she can't disobey Oreki's order, so she is also desperate. But what is reassuring is that Banlieu did not put his dissatisfaction on her. Otherwise, she would have had a very hard time. In this way, Kamuro-san is thinking wildly here, and only Oreki-san knows about the Cold War. In fact, this is not a Cold War, but a kind of, well, similar to the protective handle for Sakayanagi Arasu. There is no way around this. After watching 5 centimeters per second together, Sakayanagi-san became uneasy. And Sakayanagi-san seems to really feel that if there is any force majeure, Akari and Takeka may encounter a wave of tragic love. If you don't want it to be like this, then create an inseparable relationship as a bond. And this kind of bond that cannot be separated, is probably the only one. Let's nurture the crystallization of love together. Sakayanagi-san's attack power is still so strong. Although Oreki-san is already prepared to spend money, he is a little stressed about becoming a father so early, but it is not unacceptable. But, Banlieu-san, your body doesn't allow it. From the precognitive dream, it can be known that Banlieu's body has been healed, but that is definitely not what is happening now. So I can only reject her first. And then it became like this. Give him a cold shoulder first. Disrupt her mood. Now let's move on to the next step. Oreki-san sighed softly in his heart, so he took the initiative to reach out his right hand and pulled Sakayanagi's sleeve. Sakayanagi felt the warmth of his skin. Turning his head slightly, he noticed that Oreki-san was still reading a book. But his right hand was pulling her. Sakayanagi. This was Oreki-san's initiative to ask for contact. Sakayanagi. About 10 seconds passed before Oreki-san's hand received a response. Sakayanagi placed the book on the table and held Oreki-san's hand with his left hand. XN. The classmates in the class have not left, they have been paying attention to this place. So naturally I saw this scene. Some students also discovered that the relationship between Oreki-san and Itayanagi-san in the class has not become bad. But the steady Katsuragi-san's brows became furrowed instead. During the lunch break, Oreki continued to eat with Sakayanagi. But this time, Kamuro-san was not sent to buy food, but followed the two of them honestly, because this time he was not going to eat, but to do business. They were going to meet two people. One is a neatly dressed boy with a slightly thin body and an orange-haired girl with an emotionless face. This is grade C, no, now there are two class representatives from grade B. Utsunomi Yoriku and Haru Sakurako. In last month's cross-grade partnership written test, they immediately found Oreki-san and his second-year class after reading the questions, asking for the whole class to unite. Then after the exam, not only did I get 50 points for first place in the exam, but I also got a high score for the Code of Conduct exam. In this way, with a two-pronged approach, I climbed up from Class C in one fell swoop. First of all, congratulations on being promoted to Class B and setting a new record in this school, President Sakayanagi next to Oreki said. That's also the guidance of the seniors, Utsunomiya said. And this is the agreement we submitted. Last month, the two of them had found Oreki-senpai. At that time, Oreki-san said that he wanted to know whether these smart juniors and juniors only saw an exam, or whether they saw the future. Now is the time for revelation. What Riku Utsunomiya brought out was an agreement. I, Riku Utsunomiya, Haru Sakurako, on behalf of first-year Class C, sign an agreement with Oreki Houtarou-senpai from second-year Class A. A total of 20 million personal points are owed to Oreki-senpai. All points will be paid in full while Oreki senpai is in school. What this agreement finally revealed was an IOU. It's obviously just a new class, but it has a sky-high IOU. It seems you have made a choice, Oreki-san said. And with that said, he took over the other party's IOU. As he recalls Oreki the money-getter, he would sign a 30 million IOU. Only. Are you sure you need to write such an IOU? Oreki-san said. There is also the option of paying 50% of the class evaluation score until I leave school. Oreki-senpai seemed very kind and had no intention of exploiting them. But this account will be very scary in the long run, because this 50% is not just the value of the current 750-point class evaluation score. There is also the long-term scope of all points and rewards obtained from the school in the next 2 years. So no matter how you look at it, a one-price buyout of 30 million is more appropriate. I'm very grateful to the seniors for their efforts, Utsunomi Yoriko said, but the seniors have laid a solid foundation for us, and I don't think we will be left behind again. Not even Class A can stop us. Seems full of confidence. Hearing this, Oreki-san and Sakayanagi-san looked at each other. These two freshmen are great. He chose to sever his arms from the strong man who was Ryuuin's classmate. But it's a pity. Although you have chosen the path of Ryuuin-san, you do not have the consciousness of Ryuuin-san. But Oreki-san is still very kind. He only charges 50% of the remuneration of Class C for about 2 years, and Class C has to go through nearly 20 special examinations, so for his own income, Oreki-senpai may take action. Help. This is because he looks at the cuteness of his junior students and comes with after-sales service. But now they have completely failed to get his good intentions. And I don't understand the nature of this school at all, but I won't really let students from Class C be promoted to the society as representatives of the school. So, fellow students, you still don't know the essence of this school. Moreover, despite your improvement in academic ability, there is only a 50-point class evaluation score gap between you and Class A of the first year. But your own qualities have not actually changed completely. There are still some bad students, but their shortcomings in other aspects are still not as good as those in the class yet. So, even if you charge forward, you won't be able to hold on. Not only that, even trying to break into Class A is not an easy task. Especially, there is also that monster in the freshman Class A. Ichika Amasawa. So Oreki-san signed his name. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 520. After all, most of the results have been achieved now, right? Main mission: earn 100 million in 300 days. Task time limit, 196 days/300 days. Task requirement, in 300 days, extract 50 million from senior students and 50 million from freshmen. Task reward, soul out of body. Mission punishment, Kushida will be rubbed by Ichika Amasawa. Task progress, 99.999% at 80%. All you have to do is wait. Waiting for the arrival of the school's annual charity points exam for first-year students. After completing this task, Oreki-san is also considering whether to complete a task related to Sakayanagi-san's body. With that in mind, Oreki looked at the cute silver-haired girl next to him. It was obvious that she had been cold-blooded on purpose for a few days, but today her pupils turned into heart shapes again. It's really hard to bear. And the other side? Then thank you, Amasawa-senpai. Kushida thanked the other party with a cute smile. In fact, I felt very bad. Because this bad schoolgirl really came to contact her. Moreover, Kushida is very keen and discovered that this guy, like her, can pretend to smile. Hateful. She felt terrible, but Kushida had to show her senpai expression like a little angel. When she was carrying something just now, she almost fell down, but the other party helped her. So the other party did her a small favor. No, after all, I am very interested in Kushida-senpai, Amasawa Ichika said. After all, we come from the same junior high school, and I'm not good at interacting with others, so it would be nice if I could have more contact with Kushida-senpai. Is it? Lots of contact. I love you. As a member of the student union, Kushida also knows that by paying points, you can view the student's file. You can see the class teacher's monthly evaluation updates of the student, and you can also see the evaluation of the junior high school that recommended the student. Evaluate. Kushida reluctantly paid 500,000 points and obtained Amasawa Ichika's files. According to the file, this schoolgirl is excellent in all aspects, but she is not from the same junior high school as Kushida. In other words, this Amasawa-senpai may also be having trouble with Yagami Takia. It's really annoying. After getting the agreement with first-year Class C, Oreki-san and the others went to eat at this time. However, although he was the one who signed the contract, he was not the one who ultimately received the money. Oreki-san entrusted Kamuro-san as the intermediary. Utsunomiya also paid the first debt totaling 3 million on the spot. This money is all the points worth 750 class evaluation points that their class received from the school this month. It's also because he can collect such critical points at once, so he is a little swollen. I am full of confidence in my class. But the money is too little and Oreki-san doesn't like it. Therefore, out of the 30 million bill, Oreki directly arranged for Kamuro to transfer 1 million to Horikita-san as a participation fee for this time's cooperation exam. And 500,000 was given to Kushida-san. He knew that guy spent the money to buy Amasawa's files. All the money has been spent, and yesterday I was still thinking it was too expensive. So it was comforting. As for the remaining 1 million, it was divided equally among the students in the class as a reward for cooperating with the first grade Class C partner exam this time. The bulk of the remaining part is to be handed over to Kamuro-san, and after receiving it in the future, it will be mainly transferred to Sakayanagi-san. But there are still 500,000. Sakayanagi-san looked at Oreki-san without changing his expression. She considers herself to be generous. And 3 million minus 100 minus 50 minus 100 equal 50. There is indeed some left. Who else do you want to pay for, Oreki-kun? Itaiji said. Oreki. There are indeed expenses. Because I was supported by the sponsor senior sister in the past, I can take the other party's money and give it to Kurosawa and the others. But now, we can only withdraw from our own share. He was also very sorry, and he missed the days of being taken care of. Chapter 233 It's not good, Amae's junior schoolmate is a Yandere. Come on. Kushida's room. The layout is slightly different from Sakayanagi-san's cute style, while Kushida-san focuses on practicality. Of course, some of the aura and preferences that girls should have will not be reduced. For example, pink wallpaper. According to Kushida, it's not that she likes it, but that she sometimes entertains friends over. And this is not the first time Oreki-san has come to Kushida's room. This is a very rare invitation from Kushida-san. According to her, how could she let a boy come to her dormitory so casually? It would easily affect her popularity. So usually once a week, twice a week, or even 3 times a week is her own choice to go to him. Oreki-san knew very well that he transferred 500,000 points to her probably during lunch break. In this regard, Kushida-san is better than Horikita-san. Certainly. It seems there's more to it than that. Ichika Amasawa is really annoying. Kushida-san quickly revealed his feelings. Because Baoquin dropped out of school, her mood improved for a while, and a good mood can relieve some of the stress. But now, she was in a state of agitation again. It seemed to be on fire again. Oreki took a sip of the vegetable slimming juice she made herself. I thought it was too unpleasant to drink, so I put it aside. So he doesn't understand the world of girls very well. You're obviously not fat, so why are you obsessed with your weight? After all, the most important thing about a person is his or her face, as long as the face is good looking. Certainly. Since Itaiji-san once tried to use bento to make him gain weight, Oreki-san chose to remain humble. And now, you also know that she is a student in Class A, and her evaluation on OAA is even higher than that of my little Itaiji, Oreki-san said. There is no way around this. Sakayanaga's intelligence and academic ability can be rated A+, but unfortunately, her physical ability is the worst E-. And this E is not measured, but is obtained by selecting the students with the worst physical fitness among the students in the same grade as samples. Your Sakayanagi. Kushida probably reacted to this title. Have you really decided to continue dating Itayanagi? We'll probably break up this semester, Oreki-san said honestly. If I get married, I will still marry Horikita-san. Tisk. So boys just like honest women like Horikita as marriage partners, right? And hasn't this guy already reached a fait accompli with Sakayanagi Yuzu? As a result, when she came into contact with him after discovering this, she was a little worried that he would misfire. But luckily, he can control himself. But the fact that she can control herself is very uncomfortable, because she, Kushida, has no attraction to him. Let her affairs go for now. But Oreki can say without hesitation that he broke up with Sakayanagi, and he is simply a scumbag. Kushida despised the other person in his heart. But she probably knew it a long time ago, because he is really a good man, so he would not treat her as an experience package and then use her for a whole year. And you are under a lot of pressure again, Kushida heard Oreki-san continue to say, don't think that I just want to take advantage of you. Have you not noticed that the pressure in your heart has eased because of your contact with me? Oreki-san said. Kushida. Is that so? Did Oreki consciously help her relieve herself? Kushida was under a lot of pressure. Ever since she exposed her dark history, Horikita has become sympathetic to her, but she also clearly understands that her choice is incomprehensible to ordinary people. You are simply asking for your own fault. But she couldn't leave this way of being relied upon to gain a sense of superiority. It's just very realistic and will bring strong psychological pressure. The previous way of blogging is definitely not possible anymore, and writing notebooks is also risky. If I was stopped by jumping on the railing, then, it makes sense. Although the students she met in this school were not as crazy as her classmates in junior high school, these students were also very unique, like all kinds of samples, many of which she had never seen before. At the same time, because of the closed residential environment, the number of students she can contact is greater than in the past. So after such a long period of time, why didn't she collapse? That is to say, was it really helped by Oreki Houtarou invisibly? And he also asked Kamuro to transfer 500,000 points today. This was the last time she complained that it was too expensive to retrieve Amasawa Ichika's files, and she spent 500,000. As a result, the other party took it to heart. Since Amasawa has taken the initiative to contact you, I will go and meet her again soon, Oreki said. In other words, Houtarou Oreki doesn't like trouble, so before Azawa Senpai does other things, he goes to deal with the other party first.